There are places in Ireland where the land feels like a conversation between stone and sea, and Achill Island is one of them. Lying off the coast of County Mayo, lashed by Atlantic winds, and softened only slightly by its scattered villages, Achill has long held a reputation as both refuge and frontier. It is Ireland at its most elemental, beautiful, stubborn, and entirely uninterested in being tamed. If you enjoy stunning drone views paired with unforgettable history, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an adventure with Horizon History. Let's take flight. Though now reached easily by a bridge at Achill Sound, the island was for centuries a place apart. Its early inhabitants lived in a landscape that offered both sustenance and hardship in equal measure. Archaeological remains, megalithic tombs, promontory forts, and the faint outlines of ancient field systems suggest that people have lived here for thousands of years, coaxing life from thin soils and watching the horizon with a mixture of hope and caution. The island's Irish name, Achill, is often said to mean eagle, though like many such translations, it carries a hint of poetry rather than strict certainty. Eagles may no longer nest here as they once did, but the sense of height and wild perspective remains. Stand atop Manawan Heights, and the land falls away in dramatic folds toward Keem Bay, a place so striking it looks almost imagined. Life on Achill was traditionally bound to the rhythms of farming and fishing. The Rundale system, an old communal way of working the land, saw families share scattered strips of fields, dividing both labor and fortune. It was a system that encouraged cooperation, though no doubt it also encouraged the occasional well-argued disagreement over who owned the better patch of potatoes. The 19th century brought profound change, and not all of it gentle. The Great Famine struck Achill with devastating force, as it did much of the west of Ireland. The island's population, once several thousand strong, declined sharply through death and emigration. Villages were abandoned, their stone houses left roofless and open to the wind. One such place is the deserted village at Slievemore, where rows of empty cottages still stand in quiet formation, as though waiting for voices that will not return. Yet even in hardship, Achill found ways to endure and adapt. In 1834, the Achill Mission was established by the Protestant minister Edward Nangle. His aim was both spiritual and practical, bringing education, industry, and a different religious tradition to the island. The mission built schools, a printing press, and even small industries, though it also became a source of tension with the predominantly Catholic population. Like much of Irish history, it was a mixture of idealism, conflict, and unintended consequences. Fishing remained a vital lifeline. The Atlantic waters around Achill are rich, though never entirely predictable. Fishermen launched curraghs and later larger boats into seas that could shift from calm to furious in the span of an afternoon. There is a particular humor among coastal communities, and Achill is no exception. It is said that an Achill fisherman, asked about the weather, might reply, "It'll do what it wants anyway," which is perhaps the most accurate forecast ever given. In time, Achill's wild beauty began to draw outsiders not for survival, but for inspiration. Artists and writers came seeking solitude and found a place alive with quiet drama. The painter Paul Henry is perhaps the most famous of these, capturing the island's brooding skies and luminous boglands in works that helped define how Ireland imagined itself in the early 20th century. The island also became known for its strong cultural traditions. Irish was long spoken here as a living language, and music, storytelling, and dance remained woven into daily life. Even today, there is a sense that Achill listens carefully to its own past, keeping it close rather than displaying it for show. The 20th century brought gradual change, improved transport, the building of the Michael Davitt Bridge in 1887, and later developments connected Achill more closely to the mainland. Tourism began to grow, though never quite enough to overwhelm the island's character. Visitors came for the beaches, Keem, Keel, and Dugort, where white sands meet waters of startling clarity, and where the Atlantic reminds you, gently or otherwise, that it is still in charge. There are lighter stories too, woven among the heavier threads. It is said that Achill once had a thriving trade in kelp burning, where seaweed was gathered, dried, and burned to produce ash used in industry. The work was backbreaking, the smell unforgettable, and the reward modest at best, proof that Achill people have always possessed a certain resilience, if not a fondness for comfort. Today, Achill Island remains a place that resists easy description. It is at once ancient and immediate, shaped by centuries of human effort and the far older forces of wind and sea. Sheep wander unconcerned across narrow roads, stone walls trace the land like old handwriting, and the Atlantic continues its endless conversation with the shore. To visit Achill is to understand something essential about Ireland, not the busy cities or the well-trodden paths, but the quieter, more enduring spirit of the West. It is a place where history lingers in the landscape itself, where every ruined cottage and weathered field carries a story, and where the horizon always suggests that there is more beyond, even if you are quite content to stay exactly where you are. Thanks for flying with Horizon History. If you enjoyed the journey, those sweeping drone views, and the stories woven beneath them, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment telling us where you'd like to explore next. Your support keeps us in the sky and the history coming. Until next time, keep your eyes on the horizon.